No, they've really got no one.
But
even last year in the this corresponding preliminary final match, they had 10 men to kick 14 goals, whereas Port had 2 men, Muyutama kicking 5 and Hicks kicking 4 to aim for.
Sure, but in the first quarter, I think the pattern that's clearly evolved now is that Port's ascendancy in pace. They've certainly got a lot more skill in the side. They're small players, in particular Hicks and Ryder, that we mentioned during the course of that first quarter. And they've got 2 focal points in McCormick in particular at centre-half forward, and Saggers, the ex-North Melbourne player. And they're really working hard. Conversely, on the other side, Williamstown, when they are in possession, they're always frustrated. They're under enormous pressure. And as a consequence, they're giving the ball, their forwards no assistance. But certainly the other encounter that's starting to sway the game by that so steeped in tradition, the Williamstowns and the Port Melbourne, because they did have these competitive characters in their midst. And, you know, that's one of the great things of football. I really do believe that.
Yes, you need it in clubs. You do need the tradition. It's something that's gone out of football a little bit, but I think in the VFA it still lingers, and we hope that it continues to.
What they do? Skewers.
Skewers, yeah. So
skewers in the pig's head.
God, I'm glad football's become slightly more sophisticated, don't you?
I wouldn't have been around.
Well, no sign of skewers out here, but it's Port Melbourne who are leading this traditional battle at half-time. They led by 29 points at quarter-time. They lead by 3 goals, 18 points at half-time. And it was Williamstown who started off slowly in that term, but gradually started to get things moving.
Well, I think as we were saying, Peter, they needed to fight back. They needed to work harder on the ground, work at the base of the pack, get a bit of system going, make a couple of moves. They did that, and they've fought very hard. They've held the ball in their forward line better, and they're in with a chance. But I think that Port has still got a little bit up their sleeve. It's going to be hard to toss Port Melbourne.
Yes, I felt
McCormack doing well, of course.
3 goals.
He has been a focal point for them, McCormick. He's been the difference between the two sides. And I agree totally with Phil that Port really in that first 10 minutes of that third quarter, whilst Williamstown registered the first major score, they really had opportunities to go 6 or 7 in front and virtually seal the game. But to Williamstown's credit, they've really hung in there. They've fought more desperately. And some of these goals that have emanated, like the one we see on the screen at the moment, you know, evolved through sheer desperation and hard gut-busting team stuff, where in the first quarter, none of those opportunities evolved.
Yeah, well, can they win it though? Can they maintain?
Well, there's still only 3 goals in the game. I mean, to say it's, you know, it's only marginal. 3 goals in this quick rebound football is nothing. And I really feel, for the life of me, can't understand Terry's decision to bring himself on in the time-on period of the second quarter.
He got something like 5 or 6 goals from free kicks. You see some of the highlights here. Robertson putting through one of those goals. I mean, the game wasn't really dirty. It was rugged. There may have been there were a couple of situations there that may have been a little bit nasty, but generally it was just rugged, fierce play.
Terry Wheeler came on and got rid of Crimes there, and that really put the game into a different gear, didn't it?
Well, it changed. I think the players then lifted to the occasion, and they really fought hard for the ball. But, you know, there have been a few mistakes made at different times, and then we see Saggers kicking a goal. Now, he's been very dangerous up forward.
Diving into Swan. Through the legs by Robertson. Handball came from Brooks to McTaggart. It's there.
Great goal.
3 goals the difference now.
The mark almost could have been paid. Now he's got time. Onto the right foot, into the square. Oh, there's a mark.
Great mark.
Del Rey's it. No, it's Milton possibly.
Wasn't that a good effort to take that mark? He was out of position, slightly behind the player in front. Just got his body around the hands. Look at that. And kept hold of it.
More desperation from the injured Nilsson than we've seen when he's been on 2 legs.
Well, I was critical of the boy earlier for not putting his body in and trying hard enough, but he lines up. It's a goal.
Nilsson's third, and the difference now is, let's see, 12 points.
12
2
points.
goals. Wheeler, under pressure, fed out by Foley. Here's a chance, picked up by Mercedes. The shot on goal is good from the interchange player, and the difference is back to 12 points.
Doing the thumping. No distance gained. Allender off the knee. It's come the way of Rice. Taps it through to Swan. He can finish it off. Wrong side, but they're in front. 29 minutes of play. Port Melbourne take the lead.
Puts it down. Chad Band. Here's a go for Heatherton. Puts it high. It's into the square. He's put it through. There's Heatherton. Di Martino couldn't get it. And 7-point lead now to Port. His third goal.
Well, they've always been dangerous, Port Melbourne, around that base of the pack. They've always got someone running past or running through, always unopposed. And that could well prove to be the sealer.
I think you're right, Sam.
Up into the pocket, knocked away from Saggers by Di Martino. Quick hands from McCormick. Picked up by Rice. Oh, there's the goal. He's kept it in play nicely. Masidi. Yes. She's all over.
Well, he showed himself in glory.
Didn't he keep his head, John Masidi?
That's his second goal.
Well, what's George Allen saying there? I think he's happy. That's a good bit of play, this. Yes, over the shoulder. Nicely does it.
You like the desperation of Kennedy. He's been a great
Yeah, he was a bit stiff not to hold the mark, really, wasn't he? He worked so hard to get back and stop the goal.
Well, he'll be wishing he punched it through for a behind now. There it is. Victory going the way of Port Melbourne, so they'll take the lead on top of the ladder momentarily, because Springvale are also undefeated. They have to play tomorrow, but what a game. A very brave Williamstown going down in the end by 13 points. Port Melbourne deserved winners. Major goal kickers in the match for the victors. McCormick kicked 4, 3 to Scholl, Saggers and Heatherton. And for Williamstown, Robertson kicked 6, all in the third quarter. 3 to McTaggart, 3 to Carl and 3 to Nielsen. Certainly the match of the season so far. You saw it on ABC Sport. The ANA player of the match in this gripping encounter will be awarded shortly. But good effort is the call from Port Melbourne, and I guess, guys, it was in the final analysis. They had it all thrown at them.
Yeah, they deserve to win, but gee, I think Terry will be quite proud of the way his players fought back. You know, early they were under a lot of pressure. They were struggling to get their game going, losing at the base of the pack. They worked very hard at it. McTaggart really did some sterling things in the middle. You know, it was, as you say, it was a brave effort by Williamstown. A great game of football, really enjoyable.
The second half certainly was, Phil, and there was a gallant effort. And I think, yeah, poetic justice was served for Port to evolve victors. They were the better side for the 4 quarters. I think Williamstown's resurgence in the second half certainly gives Terry a lot of heart to look forward to the rest of the year. But to our viewers, I think we were both fortunate to enjoy an excellent afternoon's football.
All right, well, join us again next Saturday down at Frankston, the game against Preston. Man of the match here was Brett McTaggart for Williamstown, so some consolation for them. But victory going to Port Melbourne by 13 points. Let's now join Sports Arena. The National Sports Report is underway.